Hey there! SBP's Circuit Breaker comp just finished up a few weeks ago, and I thought it'd be cool to make a fun little video kind of highlighting how the comp went for me, and then just highlighting some of the climbs that I thought were fun, and an overall just analysis on the route, the comp, how I felt during it, placement, and all that jazz. The climb in the background, it wasn't part of the comp, it was actually a comps, I think a youth comp set from the beginning of the year. It just felt very compy in nature, so I wanted to showcase it here kind of while I explained what the video is going to be about. And the climbs will be going in chronological order based off of the setter's perceived difficulty. They posted among Kaya, so they have a grade associated to it, but by no means what I think the grades were. This first route was a V4, and it was a very good intro to the comp. A little slabby, really good feet. Those nubs that I'm holding right there are foot pegs, but they're actually quite decent because you can, like, as you can see, I dropped my left foot and really rock over the right foot there. All these hands at the finish are really, really good. That one's in cut. I actually skipped that second one because the pocket on that sloper was decent, and the finish was a jug. And the next one was actually right next to it in the corner there. Another V4, and that first move was actually really cool. I don't know if the intended was to fall into it facing in, but I actually saw a few people kind of doing a 180 spin move as well. This one, I think it's a V4 if you do the beta I did, but there's a few people that couldn't reach the end from just those two lower volumes, and they had to get a really high left foot on that volume, which made it infinitely harder. Now, perhaps I was blinded by tall beta or fixed my box better than other people, but they gave this one a V5, and I was kind of shocked. It felt like one of the easiest routes in the comp, which, granted, it was. However, I didn't see anybody fall on this during the competition. It kind of felt like a gimme, almost just a straight ladder, so not my favorite of the set, but still a good warm-up. And now we're on a climb that I did not flash, actually. I dropped this move after the start here. Took me 2 or 3 attempts, I can't fully recall. But the key here was really locking in that heel, and then there's a little nub on the hand, and you kind of see me shift my hands over. You want to get the right hand on the nub so that you can bump the left hand. After you get to this rail here, the rest was super, super easy. I think the hardest part was, one, finding the heel hook, toe hook beta at the start, and then just kind of being able to have the strength to bump through. Now this, I was super happy to get a flash on because I went to repeat it after the comp, and I couldn't do that move again. I don't know if it was like endorphins flowing from the comp that made me hold on. You even see my foot slip here, and I was able to still keep it. Luckily, the crux and the whole part of the climb is that jump double catch move. The rest of it was super intuitive and pretty good, but very cool climb. This one I was kind of surprised at the grading of too. They ended up giving it a V6, and don't get me wrong, it was definitely tricky. I was lucky enough to get the flash attempt here. That right hand crimp is pretty bad, and then trying to get the foot up, if it's one of those footholds where it's really rubbery, except for this little bit of texture just in the center. The key here was this back flag, being able to get that right hand over, and then the left hand bump out made it pretty trivial, but a tricky climb, but not too hard, especially for the grade. Now, I loved this climb. Do I think it's a V6? Absolutely not. Do I think it was one of the easier climbs in the comp? Yes. However, I was surprised to see a few people kind of struggling throughout this move. It is a little bit awkward. You see I do this like weird heel hook around that like pointy part of the volume, and I'm kind of just like finagling my feet. Luckily, the hands are decent, and I'm pretty good at compression, so I was able to eventually slot this knee bar and go for the finish. But very cool climb, not super challenging though. So this one I actually didn't get during the comp. It was the 1 out of the 10 that I didn't send. And I went back, a few days later to get it. But yeah, I think a mix of very crimpy holds, kind of beta intensive throughout this bottom sequence and this top sequence. And yeah, I think I just waited to the last minute to try it. It was a 3-hour comp, so towards the end of the 3 hours, I was pretty pumped, and this left hand felt impossible to really hold off of. But once you have the sequence dialed in and the beta, and then you're feeling fresh, it actually wasn't too bad. It was a V7. Now, this was one of my favorite climbs. I got it in 3 attempts, which I was pretty proud of. It took a lot of people a while to get that dyno, and then this mantle one-arm press wasn't the easiest. Um, I was a little upset to see a lack of coordination or just dynos in general for the comp, but regardless, I was happy with the one I got, and you can see this little toe hook pressing into the wall kind of finish. Very unique, very cool. Wow, talk about a muscly finish. They ended up grading this a V8, which I kind of agree with. This first move is quite powerful. This slap to the volume, you see the shot kind of blow off. And then I was lucky enough to be able to heel hook and kind of go straight left hand up. Um, and then dance the feet over. Luckily, I stretched my hips before this, so I was able to get that right heel and then throw to this straight to the full crimp. And then the tricky thing here is I am not flexible enough to keep the right heel and get the left foot over, so I kind of had to like hop and skip. And oh, yeah, the finish is just gnarly. My head flicked back, but luckily I was able to get it. And that was the comp. There were a total of 10 boulders, and I was able to get 9 out of 10 of them with a total of, I think, 24, 25 attempts. Ended up placing ninth. So, as you can imagine, it was quite competitive. I think the top 5 placed uh, got all 10 out of 10 during the comp. So, definitely some room for improvement. I think a few things I need to work on is some overall foot tension, and then just really dialing in. The 2 routes that took me the longest and that I didn't get was the yellow V8, which was just pretty muscly, and I kept going back and forth on the beta on the finish on whether or not I wanted to kind of throw right or get the back step. And then the pink one, I couldn't get. I think I should have tried it a little bit earlier. I think I could have figured out a better beta in the beginning. But overall, very, very happy with how the comp went. Very stoked to try some hard stuff, and can't wait for more competitions in the future.